Hello, hello, hello. Good evening. Let's take a minute to arrive here together. So, welcome to this journey into sacred rewilding and into eco spirituality. A little chat about that, and then a lovely practice that we can do together. So, let's just take a moment first to arrive. So, I invite you to take 3 grounding breaths with me, one with the earth beneath our feet. One with the sky above us, and one with the sea that surrounds this land. Feeling that we arrive fully in our bodies in this place, leaving behind for now any worries from the apparent world and stepping into sacred circle together, visualizing a gold ring of light surrounding us on this core, holding a sanctuary where we can explore our deeper desires, our sacred rewilding, our wilder selves. This is sacred time. This is sacred space. And welcome, lovely souls. Tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about eco spirituality, about animism, about panpsychism. And for those of you who don't know me already, my name is Amelie Rowan Summer, and I'm a priestess of Bridget, a priestess of Aphrodite, a druid, and a story keeper for this land. So I want to talk to you tonight about myth and about story, because whoever controls the stories controls everything. And that sounds like a massive statement, but the example that I like to give, myths tell people who they are. And the example that I like to give is when the Europeans went to what they called the New World and they told themselves a story of manifest destiny. They used that to justify taking an entire country and oppressing an entire peoples. The person that's controlling the story is going to control the narrative, is going to control the world. So we have from our ancient history, ancient goddess worship. So the goddess was worshipped long before the coming of the patriarchal religions. You know, we have the statuettes, we have the what they call the Venus figurines, we have evidence from archaeology that the goddess was often worshipped in the form of a snake or a serpent. And so we have all of these myths that mirror the taking over of goddess loving, peaceful cultures by more patriarchal cultures. So we have myths like the myth of Tiamat and Marduk. In ancient Babylonia, the goddess seen as a serpent, a dragon, slain by the hero Marduk and dismembered. And these myths reflect the dominant narrative in that culture and the taking over. So this is why myths are important and why stories are important. And folklore and myth and story, it can uphold the status quo. It can keep things going the way that they're going. It can be used, like we said, to justify really unpleasant, horrible things. But it can also be used to subvert the status quo. It can be used to open up different possibilities, different ways of thinking. It's a carnival space where we can look at other ways of being. And folklore can also be a teaching experience. So, one example of this is that sometimes cows, bear with me, sometimes cows die of anthrax. And when a cow dies of anthrax, they drop dead very suddenly in the field. And if you cut into that carcass, spores everywhere, you're likely to get sick. So, that's not a very engaging story to pass down about this event that happens sort of once every so often, doesn't happen all the time. So there is a theory that all the stories in Ireland and in Scotland about elf shot and how a cow that's dropped down suddenly dead might have been shot by fairies and therefore the carcass is tainted and shouldn't be touched is a way of passing down ecological knowledge via folklore in a way that is remembered by the people in a way that is powerful. And in another way, stories can be teaching stories, is in all of those stories of selkies and mermaids and goose girls and seal maidens. So I studied these for my folklore master's thesis. And everywhere, all over the world, there are these stories of alluring and beautiful maidens who are part animal, part human, and they shed their skin in order to dance with their sisters. And a man will come along and take either their seal skin or their feather coat, or for mermaids, sometimes a cap. And then they can't return to their animal form. So they're forced to stay with the man, they're forced to be domesticated, to leave the wild, to leave their creative life. And the stories nearly always end with the woman finding it, or her child gives it back, or the man accidentally throws it out and she finds it, or sometimes she just makes herself a new one and she goes back to the wild, never to be seen again. And these can be seen as teaching stories for snatching back the stolen garments of our creativity, of our wild, and not getting too domesticated. So these are coded stories handed down. So the reason I'm talking so much about story in this talk about eco spirituality is that the story we as a culture, there's a sort of Western civilization culture, are telling ourselves is a story of separation. We're telling ourselves the story that there is nature and then there are humans. And this has led to increasing alienation and increasing destruction of our environment as we have somehow collectively got this idea that we can destroy the complete extent of the natural world and yet somehow still survive. And obviously, that isn't true. And then this story of separation can go the other way. I've seen people who are very well-meaning and very, very caring about the earth, actually saying, oh, humans are the worst thing that has ever happened to this earth. And, humans are the virus and we should get rid of humans and everything will be fine. And that's still a story of separation. That's still saying that we're not part of nature. We're not part of this miraculous, living, alive universe, becoming aware of itself. So it still separates us. So I don't necessarily think that that is a more helpful way of looking at it. So our ancestors, and this is everybody's ancestors, everybody's ancestors were indigenous if you go far enough back. And most indigenous cultures today don't separate sacred from the everyday, from the normal. And everything around you, if you look at things through this worldview, through this viewpoint, is imbued with sort of enchantment and wonder and mystery because everything is alive. A river, a rock, always plants, always animals, but also mountains. And the earth as a whole, potentially one big, huge conscious organism of which we are a part. And so ecology feeds into this. Some physicists are now starting to say, oh, maybe the universe is actually aware of itself, one big conscious entity. Who knows? But this approach, this animist approach, where we look at things and we acknowledge that they have uh, a beingness of their own, that we can come into relationship with them rather than just see them as inert things to exploit, that we can live in relationship with where we are, with the land that we're on. It's a very different way of being, a very different way of living. There is a danger that if we reduce everything to this is worth money, then we never will win this argument. Some ecologists have said, okay, well, forests give us ecosystem services. They give us clean air and they give us clean water and and they help stop soil erosion, and they have a use value for when people want to go and spend time in them. And these things are all true. But if you boil down the value of a forest or any wild place to its monetary value, then the risk is, and this has happened over and over again, the risk is that if it becomes more valuable to cut it down and to keep it intact, then that's what will happen. If we are approaching the rest of the world as not inert, but alive and with beingness of its own, beingness is the best way I can put this, then we have a moral obligation. We have a very, very different relationship with it. And so that's an animist relationship. The idea that everything has a consciousness is panpsychism, pan meaning all. So there is this idea of being a participant and not just an observer, of living in a way that re-enchants the world, that we can belong to the world, that we can have a reciprocal relationship. And this is the story of connection. Whereas Joanna Macy talks about this being either the great unraveling, as everything seems to be falling apart in these times, as everything, as there was the rise of fascism, and there is ecological destruction, and there are wildfires, and there is war, and there's so much that is going really, really wrong. It is a great unraveling, but Joanna Macy also encouraged us to look at this as a time of the great turning. So the time in which things change and people alter their attitudes and we build something new. So we're not just looking at fighting the old, but on building something new. So this brings me to the Celtic Ogham, which seems like a really huge leap. But the Celtic Ogham was an ancient writing system in Ireland, predates the alphabet, the Roman alphabet, and it was inscribed on stone and on wood. And some of the names of the letters correspond to the names of trees. And mythopoetically, some of this is new, some of it is ancient, but a lot of it owes a lot to Robert Graves in the 1940s and the mythopoetic expansion of this system to give every letter a tree. So not all of that is 100% ancient, pre-Christian paganism, but it is a beautiful mythopoetic system. And the reason that I teach it to my Earth priestesses is because people in our very disconnected society have what they call plant blindness. A lot of people have what they call plant blindness. You go out into nature, you go out into the woods, and you see a kind of blur of green. If you don't know the different plants and you don't know any stories and you haven't got any emotional connection to any of it. And this plant blindness is actually becoming a real problem that, there's not as much research money for plant things. People don't care as much about plants. They just see it as a sort of blur of green. And this is contributing to this very modern phenomenon of what they're calling nature deficit disorder. But people are not spending enough time in nature. They're finding that there's a rise in poor mental health and in irritability and lack of attention and all of these things that I'm sure the people that are here on this call obviously are people that go out in nature. And so you probably already are aware how calming it is, but also how good for you it is for your immune system, for your stress levels, and for our relationship as a species with the rest of the natural world and our other than human kin going forward. So one of the reasons I teach the Ogham is because I want my students to, when they go out into the woods, rather than think there's a tree, there's a blur of green, to think there's a strand of birch trees, they're the pioneer trees. I know that they were the first trees to colonize after the Ice Age, and that the reindeer followed them and made the trackways that the first people followed. So they're telling me about the power of new beginnings. So there's a set of associations and poetry and mythic inspiration that leads to a really, really different experience of people's walk in the woods, that they are able to have this more reciprocal relationship because they're looking at things differently. So that's why I teach the Ogham. And tonight we're going to talk about the Rowan tree as the second tree in the Ogham. So Lush is the Rowan, my namesake tree, who I love very much. And I'm going to show you a picture. Hang on, bear with me because I'm a bit short-sighted nowadays. Okay, so this is me with a Rowan tree in Scotland. And you can see this illustrates this really, really well. Rowan trees are known for growing in the most unlikely of places. So the rowan will grow where the altitude is high, the soil is rubbish, there's this tiny little crevice that they can put themselves. So they are tenacious. Rowan trees teach us about being resilient in challenging circumstances, about growing in places that are less than ideal, about carrying on and just soldiering on when things are tough, when times are challenging. So it's a really useful tree for right now. And Rowan is a visionary. So Rowan trees are associated with intuition, with prophecy, with divination, with the opening of the third eye. And you can see this little tree is a visionary. She's gone, there are no other trees here. Nobody thinks that this is a suitable place for a tree. But I have a vision that this could be a perfect growing spot, and she'll make that happen. So that's why the Rowan is a visionary. Okay, I'll come back. Lovely. So, what was I going to say to you? Oh yes. So traditionally, Rowan trees were trees of protection. The bright red berries have got like a pentacle in the bottom of them. And that's a really old sign of protection. So people would plant rowan trees outside their houses and they would make rowan crosses with red thread and hang them over cribs and outside barns and over milk churns for protection against bad influences, against bad spirits, against any sorts of enchantment. So we have a protective, visionary, tenacious tree. We love the rowan tree. And it's associated with the goddess Bridget. So I don't know how familiar you are with the goddess Bridget, but she is the Celtic goddess for poetry, smithcraft, midwifery. She's a fire and a water goddess. And she carries the fiery arrows of inspiration, the three rays of the Arwen, the druidic inspiration, the Arwen. And her three fiery arrows are made of rowan wood. So tonight we're going to spend a little time with the rowan tree and the inspiration of Bridget, the Arwen of Bridget. She is the one that fills us up with inspiration, with poetry. It inspires our world, that lets us tap back into this enchantment, into this wonder that I think we need if we are going to turn things around as a species. I think we need to fall back in love with the natural world and with the community and with the reciprocity. So Bridget, being a fire goddess, is also the great stirrer of the cauldron. Not only can she inspire us, but she can give us the fire in the belly to go out and make changes and make things happen. Okay, that was a lot of talking. Hopefully you're still with me. And tonight we're going to do a practice. We're going to do a sort of moving meditation practice. So just going to get my music to share with you again. Okay. And so we can start this practice wherever you want to start. You could start seated or you could start standing. We're going to be moving around. We're going to do a little bit of dancing and then we're going to bring things down and relax and listen in. So wherever you want to be. And can you hear me over the sound of the music? Somebody give me a wave if you can hear me. Fabulous. Thank you. All right. So I invite you to start to come back into your body. Closing your eyes if that feels good to you. Softening your gaze if not. starting to feel your feet on the ground, your breath deep into your pelvis. And starting to picture in your mind's eye that you walk on a wild and lonely moor, looking down at your feet. You see where you tread. Breathe in the smell of the moor. What do you smell around you? What do you see? What do you hear? Are there animal sounds? Can you hear the wind? And you notice, all alone, high on the windswept moor, a rowan tree, and you make your way towards her. Closer and closer, you can see that she bends where the wind has pushed her all the time that she grew. You can see her bright red berries, her leaflets. And you go all the way up to this grandmother rowan tree, she of inspiration, of vision, of prophecy. And you ask her for her inspiration this night, reaching out to touch her, and feeling the flow of Arwen as a golden light from the rowan tree down your fingers, down your arm, into your chest, filling you with the light of Bridget's divine Arwen. Filling the cauldron in your belly, flowing up to your head and opening your third eye. And as this golden light fills your whole body, feel that it opens you up to inspiration, to possibility, to another way of being, a way full of wonder and mystery and re-enchantment. And notice that the light of the Arwen awakens in you, one who you perhaps haven't seen for a while. Feeling into your body, feeling for the presence of the one who used to delight in running and moving and dancing and spinning just because it felt good. The one who made mud pies in the garden. The one who jumped into puddles and rolled down hills. Feeling into that part of you that was the raw, instinctual, primal part before anyone told you to be polite, to be good, to be clean. Feel that part of you now. And I invite you to take that part of you and project her out in front of you, sitting opposite you or standing opposite you. And look at her, the wild one, wild woman. How does she look? How does she seem? How does she smell? And how do you feel looking at her? She is you, this wild one. She is the parts of you that you may have repressed, you may have forgotten, you may have longed for. And I invite you now to step into her place or sit where she is sitting now. Step forward into this wild one part of you and embody her. Allow yourself to become her. Take a breath here. How does it feel? How does it feel to be the wild one? The primal, animalistic, original one, the authentic, raw, messy, real one. Maybe you still have leaves in your hair. How does your body feel? How does your body want to move? In sensual ways, in fierce ways. And then, still embodying your wild one, we begin to dance. And we dance the dance, not to be seen, not to be picked, not to be sexy, not for the observer. We dance the dance of the raw, the real, the inside dance that is to be expressed. The dance of how we feel, not for anyone to see.
Barefoot, cursing sharp stones. I am my mother, savage daughter. I will not cut my hair, I will not lower my voice.
Let her be expressed, your wild one.
Child is a savage. She looks for her romance in the colors of stones, in the faces of cats, in the falling of feathers, in the dancing of fire, in the curve of old bones. I am my mother's savage daughter, the one who runs barefoot, cursing sharp stones. I am my mother's savage daughter. I will not cut my hair, I will not lower my voice. My mother's child dances in the darkness. She sings heathen songs by the light and watches the stars and renames the planets and dreams she can reach them with a song and a broom. Out of darkness into this world through blood and through pain, and deep in our bones the old songs are waking, so sing them with voices of thunder and rain. We are our mother's savage daughters, the one who runs barefoot cursing sharp stones. We are our mother's savage daughters, we will not cut our hair, we will not lower our voice.
Allowing her to move, your wild one, your savage one.
The dance of the wild, wild maiden. We dance so wild and free. We dance in the light of the sun and the moon and the earth and the sky and the sea. Dance so wild, dance so free, dance so wild and free, dance so wild, dance so free, dance so wild and free. We dance the dance of the wild, wild maiden. We dance so wild and free. We dance in the light of the sun and the moon and the earth and the sky and the sea. Dance so wild, dance so free, dance so wild and free, dance so wild, dance so free, dance so wild and free. We dance the dance of the wild, wild maiden. We dance so wild and free. We dance in the light of the sun and the moon and the earth and the sky and the sea. Dance so wild, dance so free, dance so wild and free, dance so wild, dance so free, dance so wild and free. We dance the dance of the wild, wild maiden. We dance so wild and free. We dance in the light of the sun and the moon and the earth and the sky and the sea. Dance so wild, dance so free, dance so wild and free, dance so wild, dance so free, dance so wild and free. We dance the dance of the wild, wild maiden. We dance so wild and free. We dance in the light of the sun and the moon and the earth and the sky and the sea. Dance so wild, dance so free, dance so wild and free, dance so wild, dance so free, dance so wild and free. We dance the dance of the wild, wild maiden. We dance so wild and free. We dance in the light of the sun and the moon and the earth and the sky and the sea. Dance so wild, dance so free, dance so wild and free, dance so wild, dance so free,
Disconnected
dance so wild and free. We dance the dance of the wild, wild maiden. We dance so wild and free. We dance in the light of the sun and the moon and the earth and the sky and the sea. Dance so wild, dance so free, dance so wild and free, dance so wild, dance so free, dance so wild and free, dance so wild.
I'm beginning to bring it down to a seated or a lying position, coming to rest, still holding the energy of your wild one, coming down to lie, supported and held by Mother Earth, loved by Mother Earth, and feeling into these questions. How does your wild one want to be expressed in your life? Now that she's here, what would she like from you? And how would your life be different if you lived from this space? What supports you to live in this way, to express this real, authentic part of you? Resting and feeling for the answers from deep within. And then just really thanking this part of you, this beautiful, wild, raw part of you for being with us today, and allowing her to just settle back into any part of your body that feels good to you. Maybe making her a promise to spend some time with her if that feels right. And now becoming aware of your physical body starting to come back to this time, to this place, becoming aware of the room around you, starting to move your fingers, your toes, maybe stretch. And whenever you are ready, and not a moment before, opening your eyes and coming back to the present moment. Hmm. Hmm. Welcome back, gorgeous ones. Ah, and does anybody have anything that they want to share for integration? Anything that they want to share with the rest of us? Yeah, Christina, unmute yourself.
Yes, apart from the fact that my cats found that deeply disturbing, I really enjoyed that. Dance has been one of the few animals and dance have been the only two things really in my life that have given me pure joy. And as you get older, you lose that. There are societal constraints
Yes.
against old women jumping about and making a spectacle of themselves. So it was very nice to have a reminder that it's something that you do for yourself and not just to perform in a nightclub.
Yes, that's beautiful. I'm all for
It's very
us making
liberating.
spectacles. Yes, yes, beautiful.
It's as I get older, I haven't lived authentically myself because, like for most people, the constraints of earning a living and life in general have got in the way. And the thing that matters most to me at this as I come into this last little bit is I want to try to live as authentically to myself as I can and as in tune with what's really important. I think I've been an animist all my life, although of course I didn't know the word until probably the last 20 years or so.
Yeah.
But it's very comforting to know that it's actually a thing, because when I was growing up it wasn't, and you know it just made you weird. And it's wonderful to find that there's other people out there who also believe in it. So thank you.
Oh, you are so welcome. I know exactly what you mean. When I first started reading about this, about sort of, gosh, nearly 30 years ago, I I was the same. It's like this is a name for something I've always thought. Yeah, yeah. So thank you. Thank you for sharing. Does anybody else have anything that they want to share for integration? Okay. Okay. So, oh, did you want to share?
Yes, apart from the fact that my cat also found it strange, I also felt that it was a really beautifully guided meditation, and that I agree with everything that Christina said about the living the authentic self and not the societally constrained self, and reminded me of my childhood. I guess that's the point. But yeah.
Beautiful. I love that. Thank you. Yes, and I apologize that I do have a tendency to use such female language and forget that not everybody on the call is necessarily a woman. So sorry about that.
Oh, no, it's okay.
So, so the other thing I want to introduce to you all is if that was a beautiful practice for you, if you enjoyed that, there is a warm invitation to think about joining my Earth Priestess training. So this is a 2-year program, a 2-spiral program. We spend the first year really deepening our connection with the elements, with the land that we each live on, because I've got students all over the place, because it's all online. I've got people in America, people in Ireland, people in England. So the place that the student is in, making that connection, that nature connection, and really feeling into self-love, authenticity, self-worth. And then the second year, we take all of that and we move out into the world. So we're looking at things like regenerative living, permaculture, holding women's circles, holding ritual. How do we live more reciprocal way with the earth? So it's a very practical training. It's not only a spiritual training. I like to say that I train top wood carry water priestesses that go out and make a difference. This is my way of sending ripples out into the world because I hope that my students go back into their communities and start food forests or start a circle or start lobbying their MPs, these things that will make a difference. This is my way of sending out ripples. So this is your warm invitation to check that out. There is currently an early bird discount of 25% off with the words Rowan Magic 25, because this is the Rowan cohort I'm calling in. The first cohort were the Birch, the pioneers. The second cohort will be the Rowans, the visionaries. So I'm calling in my visionary Rowan cohort. So if that's something that interests you, I will email out with the replay all the information, and feel free to reach out and chat if there's something that you'd like to hear about. I'm also going to share with you the PDF of the Rowan Blessing Ritual for you to take, for you to use at home. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope that's uploading to the chat right now. Yes. So feel free to take the Rowan Blessing Ritual into your space and make it beautiful and seek the blessing of the beautiful rowan tree, because we all do need a bit of extra help at the moment. I think times are tough for most people. So if we have something that we can call upon for a little extra strength as we make our way, then the rowan is there for us. So I hope you enjoy the PDF, and I hope that you've got something out of tonight's ritual or ceremony or journey with the rowan tree. It's been really, really beautiful to have you here. And thank you for showing up live, because I know that people are busy and it's time out of your day. And I appreciate your presence and I appreciate your giving this time to yourself and to each other, because we need to be building a community of people who think that the earth is more than just an inert rock that we can just exploit until there's nothing left. We need to build a community of people that understand that nature is worthy of our reverence, of our respect, even of our awe. So it's been a beautiful evening. Thank you so much.